Happy inauguration day, my friend. It's going to be amazing.
It is. I mean, we were expecting rain clouds and everything else, and the sun is out.
Nice.
I even heard a couple of birds chirping.
Wow. Wow. There's life on Earth. Yeah, we were supposed to get a bunch of rain overnight, and we got zero rain overnight, which is typical, Southern California.
Everybody to the north of us is getting snow. We got a little drizzle of rain. I mean, we haven't had any significant snowfall this go round.
I think, yeah, you sent me like one picture with a light dusting or something earlier this year.
And that was it.
That's it. Yeah, that's basically us too. We've had one day of rain in the last 9 months, and we are. I guess that the coast here is kind of getting ready for about a week solid of rain, is what they're predicting. So we'll see
Oh,
what
really?
happens. We'll see if that actually happens or not. So somehow something happens where all of a sudden it scoops north or it scoops south, and it just completely
Yeah.
misses California.
Well, we had tried to go to Shenandoah National Park
Oh, that's right.
this past weekend, and we get there after a about an hour and 45-minute drive from our house out there.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful drive to like just wind through and pull off to the side of the road, get some nice mountain air, do a little bit of hiking. That's what we were planning, just nothing major. But we get there, and this is like a 100 and some odd plus mile stretch of road that cuts along the ridge line of easternmost part of the Appalachians, Shenandoah mountain range.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we get there and they're like, well, the Skyline Drive is open for the first 5 miles. Like, what?
Oh. So they actually had it like locked up.
So there was like a gate across
Right.
they're like, well, the sun is starting to come out. Maybe they'll open it up for. They have gates every so often. You'd think, because I did check the website, and you think that they would actually post these kind of warnings or closures or whatever on there. Did they? No.
He had one job.
One job, Mr. Website attendee.
Webmaster. Oh, that sucks, man. Yeah, I would imagine, like, I'm just trying to think, like, if I went out to Glacier National Park on my trip this summer and you get up to the road that everybody wants to drive on and it's closed, that would suck. Like,
Yeah.
it's the one thing that I wanted to do here. It's like the main attraction. Well, you guys ready for a show today? I saw some photos of the mall. It looks pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because obviously with everything like securely locked down, I mean I don't know how many people will actually be there
Right.
in person, but there will be. The last time I got a chance to drive through before all the shit hit the fan, there was, I don't know, there were these massive like AT&T mobile Wi-Fi stations.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're like these massive antennas and stuff, and they're positioned every 2 blocks from all the way at the very end of the mall, which is the Lincoln Monument or Lincoln Memorial Monument, really. um, the Lincoln Memorial all the way up. And so every 2 blocks you go up, there's these big, huge trucks, big, massive antenna arrays. It was pretty impressive. And like you're driving around and you see this one sculpture is what kind of threw me. So there's this like really, really cool kind of like abstract almost. So it's a sculpture outside of the National Gallery, the East Wing, the IMP building. And there's this really weird sculpture that it looks like this contorted antennas and like it, and then right next to it is the AT&T thing, and you just think it looks like this extension of this sculpture.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, it's
I
a
was like, wow, that's pretty damn cool.
traveling installations. No, Cormac, those are for the 5G. That's what they're for. And then they're going to control the people and spread the virus. And
Well, yeah.
obviously, though, they were planning before the attack on the Capitol to have a bunch of people there, right? Because
Yeah.
of what you're talking about, like that.
Well, yeah.
And I'm sure they had like bleachers and stuff ready to be set up. And
Oh yeah, yeah. They were setting up bleachers along the. So traditionally you do the inauguration. Everybody's kind of like on the mall, and they're kind of facing towards the Capitol building. And then there's a procession down Pennsylvania Avenue, and you'll see like people will line up on it, and then there'll be bleachers, and there'll be all sorts of dignitaries and bands and everything else. And I have no idea what to expect today because of what occurred.
But it's also weird that they were just preparing to have giant crowds as well, right? So it's like it really is like a divided way of thinking. I don't. It's just very different. Like let's do this. No, this happened. Now let's do this. Let's do the opposite. And it's so funny because it is like almost every project that we work on that just made me think of that. It's like this is going to be an exact opposite response to the thing we have.
Right.
Let's do the opposite and see if that works. It's such like the pendulum swings from extreme to extreme, and all we test are the extremes. And it's like everything actually works in moderation. So just got to have those rules in place and the right people in place. But the problem is, I think, is that moderation is difficult. It's hard to plan for.
Right. Exactly.
It is extra work. But it's like the last building that I truly worked on was that math and science building. And I remember that the users had laboratories they were in these old Pereira buildings in Huntington Beach at the Golden West College. And the doors to those classrooms had a pane of glass in them, had a light that was about 4 inches by 6 inches. And on the new building, it's like, we want the entire wall to be glass, right? We want views. We want people to see what we're doing. It's like, you realize you've got cabinets and you've got like all these stations where you need students to do things. And so obviously it didn't end up all glass, right? But it was an exact opposite reaction to what they had. And it seems like this is similar to that. It's like, we're going to have this amazing party. No, we're not going to have anybody, right? It's like, humans tend to think like that. I think it's very black and white on many levels. Interesting stuff. So what is going to be happening then? Is it going to be like just a televised event and it's going to be streaming on the internet and et cetera, and everyone's going to watch from afar and order takeout and support their local restaurants and stuff like that?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's what it seems like.
It's a good way to boost the economy.
So I will be honest with you, I really didn't know. I mean, now that I'm looking at him, I know the buildings, but I guess I never really knew William Pereira.
Oh,
and so now I'm looking at them. I'm like, oh yeah, I know these.
You know some of them.
Yeah.
There's the ones that we were dealing with are pretty nondescript and bunker-like. I mean, they're pretty distinctly Pereira, but at the same time, I wouldn't ever offer them up as a great example.
I'm looking at these weird kind of ones that are at the University of California, Irvine, and they are like bunkers.
Yeah. I mean, it's what do you do when you need a lot of the same thing really cheaply, right, and fast, which is typical schools, right?
I wonder if the people who had designed the previous pier in St. Petersburg had either copied him, or, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say they probably just copied him,
or if it was him,
which I'm going to have to do some research.
Time to go into the internet machine. I have a book here on Pereira, actually. Just pulled it out. And on the cover is the Geisel Library, which many know who Dr. Seuss is.
I believe I've heard of him once or twice.
Yeah. If you could have worked that into a rhyme, that would have been amazing.
I totally was like, damn it, I missed my opportunity.
Yeah, so that's the University of California at San Diego, and I've been in that building. It's like a tree house. It's really amazing on the outside. I don't think it's very amazing on the inside. It's not as successful. The floor-to-floor height is not very big. The stacks, it's a library, obviously, so it's lots of stacks of books, and it's very dark and very 70s on the inside. So it seems kind of period piece. but the way it's sited, the structure is amazing. And then other buildings like Transamerica Building, and he's worked on some pretty amazing concrete structures over the years. You guys just gonna watch online? It seems today today's gonna be a low output work day because all eyes are gonna be on this, which they should be. This is a huge event. It's a big turning point, hopefully, for the country.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. Oh wow.
He's still looking up.
Bill Harvard designed it. So one of the longest, or one of the oldest architecture firms in St. Pete, Florida, is Harvard Jolly and Associates, and started by William Harvard Sr. And I knew William Harvard Jr., and he was the one who designed it.
Connection. Nice.
Interesting. I still feel he probably, maybe flipped through a Pereira book once or twice.
Oh, yeah, of course.
My gosh, I mean, looking at some of the things, and I don't know if you've, are even remotely familiar with the inverted pyramid pier in St. Petersburg, but
nope.
It was very much, it has a very kind of a watered down Pereira feel to it. It's not as expressive in kind of just the concrete expression, we'll call it that, was a lot cleaner, clearly, in Pereira's buildings. And this pier, which what's funny is that this pier, which has been controversial over the course of 100 plus years, 1889 was when they had like the first pier out there, which was kind of like the end of a railroad. And they had then, they'd gone through so many different, this one, it was called the $1 Million Pier, which guess how much it cost?
This is like the $6 million man.
Exactly.
How much should we make him worth? $6 million has a nice ring to it.
$6 million.
It has an X. There's an X in it, so it's a very powerful word.
Yeah, and so they had this kind of, it was a very beautiful Mediterranean revival. Then when that started to fail, they had replaced it with what was called the inverted pyramid. It was built on the same pier as the other one, and so now we're talking about like 100-year-old pier, like the actual pier structure with a building on top, and this building on top was to the point of failure. I mean, my previous firm that I worked for in St. Petersburg had done a lot of like interior renovations and things like that to it, and we actually took a boat and we went underneath the pier and to see the condition of the pier underneath, and they kept trying to put Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid.
Oh, yeah.
It really needed to be demoed. It really, really needed to be demoed.
Start over.
Yeah, and I've already put my foot in my mouth one time about the new pier, but I will save judgment until I get a chance to see it.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Which you know what?
But it wasn't the pier we were promised. Let's just say that.
That's true. True.
What's interesting about Pereira's stuff is that there's definitely no style that's consistent.
No.
I mean, going from these bunkers that we're talking about to Geisel Library to Transamerica Building, which is pyramidal, right, to the LAX theme building, which is completely different, more, I don't know, Jetsons, Googie. It's hard to determine style for that one. But it's kind of a saucer shaped with these legs coming out of it. It's if you look it up, LAX theme building.
Yeah,
everybody,
yeah,
it's the iconic LAX restaurant.
Sorry. I was still looking for the Geisel.
Oh yeah. The Geisel is iconic as well. I mean, so definitely iconic. Maybe there's the theme, but it's not. There's no visual kind of continuity other than material. I think between his building, there's some that you can pull apart. Like there's some inverted pyramids. There's some regular pyramids. It's very strong geometries, but I wouldn't say that.
I'm looking at the Jack Langston Library at UC Irvine.
Yeah,
and I mean that's very Jetsons to me. And even the LAX building. What is it? The Transamerica Pyramid.
Right.
Then
we'll have to put this
and then
link
the
in the show
Library.
notes. Yeah.
Geisel Library. Come on.
I have some photos of it that are just it is an incredible thing to walk under. That is one of the things I love about that kind of a building. You know, there's several of them in this area, like Disney Concert Hall is another one where you're walking through it and under it, and it's not like you're walking along a sidewalk next to it and then it just juts out of the street. It's like it encourages you to explore the space in which it inhabits. And I think that's just an amazing way for buildings and people to interact. And it really, I think, opens up the opportunities of architecture and space that most people don't consider when they think about buildings, right? They think they just think like I go into that thing, but these really kind of, you know, I hate to say it, but total archispeak, right? They're really blurring the lines between indoors and outdoors by the use of materials, but also by the way in which it works in section, right? So the way that you go under and over and through things it encourages kind of this playfulness, and it's interesting with that building in particular, the Geisel, because it is brutalist. And I heard somebody on a podcast recently say, you know, these terrible brutalist buildings, and it's like they all just get lumped into this category of terrible and oppressive, and they're not, right? They're not all like that. And not only that, but it's, you know, it's a construction technique. It's not a visual style necessarily. So it's interesting to see, or experience, I should say, a project like that where you see it in photos and it's definitely intriguing, but when you go visit it, it's something else entirely.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
You know, it was funny is, so my son had taken this past semester, he had taken a architectural history course.
Oh, cool.
And it was
I hated those courses, but now I would be like all over it.
Oh, you know, and that's the funny thing is like when we were there, I mean,
I slept through most of those, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Studio is so brutal. There's only so much time in the day to sleep. So
exactly.
That class was it. You turn out the lights, turn on the slideshow with the monotone droning voice of Art Hacker at Cal Poly Pomona. Yeah, I'm going to sleep now.
And this is the Geisel library.
Yes.
And you're like,
yep. Oh, drooling on the desk, yeah.
But he like, you know, came out and he, you know, was talking to me one time. He's like, why do people hate brutalism so much? I find it actually pretty interesting. And that was like how he had opened the conversation. It wasn't like, you know, no preface, anything.
Just
it was
jumps
just like
right into it.
Launched right into it. You know, why do people hate brutalism? And so, you know, it's interesting is because then we were driving through DC and looking at some of what I call like federal brutalism. And there's such this wide range of buildings as you go down there just off the mall, you know, in like, you know, like you can look at like the FBI building, which is one that blurs the line of like, to
but still interesting.
Yeah. But still interesting. Mm-hmm. To things like, you know, like the Department of Education, and then a couple of other buildings that are just like amazing. And they're like, you know, up on a pedestal and they're very light in area. It's something very similar to like the Geisel where, you know, it's up off, you know, it's the mass of the building is held up off the ground and it only feels heavy because of the concrete material. But, you know, you wonder if it was made with something else, would it have felt like, you know, lighter and kind of floating?
It's foam with a light concrete exterior. But that also starts to speak to the structural nature. Like it's kind of Calatrava in that sense where it's like, it gives you this sense of wonder of how did they do that? Right. Because it is such a heavy thing that is seemingly floating. And to be able to pull that off and convince a client that this is the solution for your campus or whatever, it's
oh my gosh,
how did that happen, right? Like there's the outcome of it and the brilliance of the design and the structure and working hand in hand with the engineers to make it happen. But that, how did it even become an option? Is what I want to know, right? Like that is the behind the scenes reality show I want to watch when it comes to this stuff.
You know, it's funny because, you know, if you look at like maybe the explosion of campuses in probably around the late 50s, early 60s is where you see those buildings occur the most. I can give you an example of like the building that we renovated at WashU was a early 60s brutalist building. They just absolutely hated it. They wanted to do whatever it took to, like, it didn't fit with their campus aesthetic, which I'm not quite sure. I mean, their campus aesthetic is a collegiate Gothic, and here they've got these actually four massive. They were, concrete and stone brutalist buildings, and and I found something, pretty intriguing about them, but for some reason they had a very kind of like hands off. They hated those buildings, but
I think the users generally do.
Special.
The campuses generally do hate them because they're so hard to modernize with the times, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Everything is in a wire mold. Everything's in a conduit. Everything's strapped to the outside. You can't put anything in the walls. You can't hide it. You can't make it pretty. You can't enlarge openings to put windows in because there's rebar and everything. And yeah, I get it, right? It's not but like they do that on new buildings either. They really don't. They just strap stuff to the outside. They do whatever's fastest and cheapest, but they see it as like these Band-Aids over time, kind of like the pier you were talking about. And it does. I can see how it gets old. And then there's like the architectural historians who are like, save the buildings. They're worth we can never get rid of this heritage. And it's like, well, times do change, and we kind of like, so you can see both sides of that argument, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes. Yeah.
But like you guys said, you stripped it down to the bones. Then
stripped it clean.
And then you go back and you put all that stuff in right, because you don't have to worry about, it's not just a Band-Aid. You got to think for the long term, and you can run new chases, and you can run new soffits and ceilings and plenums and all of the things that hide all of the crap that nobody wants to see.
Well, that would be the goal, yes.
Yes.
Until you get in there and realize that they decided to do a floor-to-floor height of 11.6 with waffle slabs.
Yeah.
And, you have this extraordinarily deep system
that you can't do anything in.
That you really can't do anything.
Because it's just pockets, right? It's like, individual coffers that you're not going to make stuff go up and down and up and down and up and down.
And if anybody's ever done a lab building knows that, this mechanically intensive building that needs so much, ductwork and everything else.
And air volume, right? So like the ductwork is, not only do you need a lot of it, but you need a big lot of it.
Yes, exactly. And then you just like, I really do need, it's almost like, do you have a concrete stretcher? Because I need to like pull this building apart a little bit more, give it some more height.
That's the scale tool, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna do the stretch command on this building. Yeah, that's an AutoCAD reference for you youngsters. Jeez.
What's AutoCAD, Grandpa?
What's AutoCAD? Stretch. Do you mean scale? No, I do not mean scale. I mean stretch. Do you know that AutoCAD is still 35% of Autodesk's income?
Yeah.
Their revenue.
I was reading a debate on, it was probably the Entree Architect Facebook page about what software should they know. And I was reading this one guy's more recent contention that why does anybody do BIM? I mean, it's such a waste of time. I mean, we don't build things off of BIM. So why are we spending so much time and money on them when we could be more efficient in working in AutoCAD?
Sounds like somebody who's never used it, first of all.
I held my tongue on, responding back, but I was just like, yeah, this is definitely somebody who's sort of stuck in where he is now, where he's been, and not really thinking about the future of the practice. And, just go back and listen to like 15,000 different, references that we make to, model-based delivery processes and things like that, which, kind of contend why we need to be moving. And, hell, if I was going to renovate any of these large scale buildings that we do, I want a Revit model as accurate as I possibly can get so that I can really truly understand all of the different intricacies of all of the new systems that would be going in there.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it really does. Yeah. The whole, like, some people call it clash detection and some people call it clash avoidance, right? It's like, you have the ability to really put all those systems in their real sizes, in their real spatial constraints and with the hangers not running through the ductwork to hang the sprinkler pipes and all that kind of stuff, right? You have that ability. Does it mean people use it? No, it does not, right? It gives you the tools. It doesn't force you to use them. And it's interesting because I'm looking at a similar graphic that a friend of mine sent me, I think it was yesterday, talking about practicing architects, which software, what's the primary ones used in their office. So this was a poll. So it's just a poll. It's not a scientific study or anything of over 500 practicing architects. Yep, you're right. Entree architect community. So Revit, 37%, ArchiCAD 14%. So we're at 51% right there for BIM tools. Doesn't mean they're using it for the full usage of BIM, right? AutoCAD at 27%, SketchUp at 6%, Rhino at 1%, miscellaneous at 15%. So what's, I think it's interesting that the Rhino's even on the list because like it's not a primary tool because the primary tool is the one you use for construction documents, I'm guessing is what most people are thinking, right?
Right.
So there are architects using SketchUp. There are a lot of architects still using AutoCAD. But then the next graphic was what are they teaching in school? And I wouldn't even say that it's what's being taught in school, right? Because I don't think that schools teach software very much anymore. They don't have time. And so they just kind of like when we were in school and they're like, figure out how to make a physical model by yourself. They don't teach you how to do it. They didn't in my school.
No, not at all.
You figure it out. And it's like you use the tool for the job, right? And so in that one, there's no BIM software on the list. It's 73% Rhino. So this is like the opposite list of what we just heard in practice. And so there is a total breakdown, right, between what students are learning, but because of what they need, right, they need fast, iterative, fluid design tools that are focused on creativity. And offices need efficient design tools for production. Those are not the same tools, people.
Right.
They're not. And they likely never will be because nobody can do all of those things really well. And I'm glad they're not because if they were, it would suck. Like, the tools would never get, like, it's like Revit now. Like, everyone's complaining that it doesn't get updated. You know why? Because everybody uses it. And AutoCAD just gets your money. Or not AutoCAD, Autodesk gets your money. So now they're looking at other markets like construction because they've got all the architects' money.
Right.
Like they've got you locked into that subscription. There's no incentive to change it and make it better. Where are you going to go? There's nowhere to go. Got you by the, you know what? So
and let's be honest with you. I mean, how many people truly use it to its fullest potential anyway?
Oh, the true potential of BIM is nobody. No, I shouldn't say nobody. Rarely is that surface scratched.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Quantity takeoffs, fabrication, like it's still just used to produce drawings. And that's why it's not a fundamental rethinking of how we can do what we can do. It's just a further sharpening of the drafting pencil. But that's how it's been utilized. So
and so then, I can see the argument that he's making that why spend the money on BIM because, I'm only going to do the 2D. But that's not really where we should be going because that's not where the future of design and construction shall be.
Well, I would also, I would take that further and say that I don't think architects should be competing on details, right? I don't think they should be competing on the drawing side of things because that's not where the architect's value is. So, So I don't think you meant this. I don't think you meant that with what you were just saying, but I also think that we need to have a fundamental rethink because look at Eric Reinholdt's work. He just posted a video showing his process. What does that guy use? He uses AutoCAD and SketchUp and physical models, and he produces beautiful, amazing work. Now, there's not a lot of it. Eric doesn't do a lot of projects. He's in a very remote part of the country, right? He's in by Acadia National Park in Maine. He's on an island in Maine that, what do you even do there in the winter? You make YouTube videos, right? Like Eric does. But honestly, the work that he does is not he uses the right tool for the job for him, for a one person shop. And we shouldn't say that the tools should be, everybody should use the same tools, right? Not everybody does the same, even type of work. But man, we shouldn't be competing on the drawing side of things when the builder is the one who's going to first of all, not going to look at your drawings when they build it, but have better ways to do that. And so rather, I love the idea of us sticking to design intent and having those constraints be, and those decisions be manipulatable over time in the most flexible way. It's such a hard problem to describe and to solve. I'm not trying to do that right now, but there's a much larger stance to take here, which is where is the value of an architect, and is it in that thing that we produce? I tend to think it's not. But we're stuck by our own doing making that stuff.
Right.
And I think this is where newer delivery models have really tried to solve that, like IPD, right? As opposed to design, bid, build, because then you actually do have all the players in the room, including the builder and the owner, and saying, here's the most valuable person to produce this piece of the puzzle. Because not everybody can produce the entire puzzle. You're just redoing you're doing work that everybody else is doing. Why do that? You need to do your piece of the puzzle. And in our case, it's design intent. It's synthesizing ideas. It's going from uncertainty to certainty. It's not drawing the window sill detail, unless that's incredibly important to the design, right? In some cases it is, but in most cases it's not, depending on the scale of the project. So many like little disclaimers in there, I know, but it's hard to describe when you don't dive really deep. So anyway, happy Inauguration Day.
Happy.
We're turning a new leaf.
It's still sunny outside.
A good sign.
I'm hoping for the best.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.